Data is information. In the foundation phase, the basic concepts of data handling are learned and applied in classifying objects in a logical way. Learners need experiences with classifying things in different ways in order to learn to make sense of real-world data. In order to support and guide the learner's logic and classifying abilities on the next level, namely data handling, activities are explicitly designed to develop flexible reasoning about the characteristics of data. Learners are expected to be able to sort and classify objects according to their attributes. In the same way, data need to be collected and organized according to specific attributes, which mean that basic research is done. Classification is fundamental to data handling, and classification skills are applied in the data handling cycle. Firstly, collecting the data. Relevant information regarding the question that was asked must be found. Secondly, organizing of data. This information must be organized, namely sorted, grouped, and classified in a logical way. Thirdly, representing data. A graphic representation of the information is created. Fourthly, analyzing the data, meaning logical reasoning is used to discuss the information. And lastly, interpreting of data. Decisions are made as to what the results of the process are. The question is answered. Learners need to be introduced to research procedures. This implies that the teacher is responsible for helping learners to identify and explore problems which lead to questions that need to be answered, for which learners have to know how data is to be collected, as well as what kind of data needs to be collected, strategies needed for organizing data, and knowledge of ways for representing data must be taught. Analysis of the collected data needs to lead to correct interpretations of the data and ultimately to the answer to the question that was asked at the beginning of the process. Data analysis and statistics are part of our lives. Learners are exposed to descriptions of data and to predictions based on the data on television, in newspapers, and in magazines. Information about the daily temperatures, the most popular song, the best movie is depicted in graphs and by statistical descriptions. Data is presented to readers in various visual formats, for example, different kinds of graphs or pie charts. This makes the interpretation of data a skill needed in the world in which the learner is growing up. Thus, it makes sense to include the collecting, displaying, and analyzing of data in the teaching of mathematics in the foundation phase. Teachers can introduce learners to statistical information by making use of data that is presented in the media and discussing it in class. This can also lead to gathering and displaying data in the classroom that is collected by learners themselves. In this way, learners are subsequently introduced to the data handling cycle, whereby the teacher explains the process of collecting, displaying, and analyzing data as a step-by-step cycle. This is done in order to arrive at an answer to a posed question prior to data collecting activity. It is important to note, however, that this should always be done at the appropriate level of learners' mathematical abilities. Learners further need to master data sorting and classification before they can move on to work with the numbers generated by the process. At this stage, they will be analyzing the results of the statistics, the data collected, on a more abstract level. The classification of objects with various attributes is the first step in the organization of data. Learners should be encouraged to collect and classify data in the same way as objects. Data, however, has no use if collected and classified simply as information. Data collection should be done in order to answer a question. Questions can be formulated by the teacher, but when learners formulate this question they want to ask, the data they gather will have a specific purpose and will be more meaningful to them. The first two steps in the cycle should preferably be initiated by the learners. Questions can be formulated in order to find answers to mathematical problems, such as the result of measurement activities. However, data collection should not be restricted to mathematical activities. The need to collect data will often be the result of studying other content areas. General classroom discussions can lead to questions that can be answered by collecting and analyzing data. Teachers can encourage learners to participate in selecting problems and support the process of collecting and organizing the data collected in order to answer the question. Current interests and activities will lead to graphing subjects that learners will enjoy working on. Questions generated in the classroom are often about the learners themselves. In the foundation phase, the questions that are easiest to deal with are those that can be answered by every learner contributing to one piece of data. Some ideas for generating questions include favorites, TV show, fruit, color, football team, games, book, places or activities. Numbers, number of pets, sisters, brothers, birthdays, learners in the class, learners using bus or car or taxi to come to school. Measure, height, arm span, letters in a name, daily temperature, weather, rainfall, volume, length, size or distance. Across the curriculum, results of science projects, sales on the entrepreneurs' days, or comparisons. Questions generated beyond the classroom. Learners will become interested in situations outside the classroom and questions generated beyond the classroom. Learners will become interested in situations outside the school and classroom. Questions can be about the community, for example, restaurants, stores, hospitals, churches, or shopping centers. Service providers, number of police officers, nurses, doctors, clinics, hospitals, buses, or taxis.